All right, guys, welcome to the 100th episode.
We finally made it.
We made it.
We're official.
We're official now. 100 episodes in. I hope we got this down now. I hope we're somewhat entertaining. So, I guess it wouldn't be the 100th episode if we didn't talk about Unbound.
Right?
I think that's probably one of the few reasons, or one of the reasons that we started this podcast is just going over just the amount of suffering that happens at Unbound. No matter how fit you are, no matter how prepared you are, the days leading up to it, the weeks leading up to it, pining over tire choice, pining over equipment choice, the day of, you have a plan laid out, and then the course just kicks you right in the teeth.
It does.
And then the next thing you know, your plan's out the window and you're coming up with plan B, C, D.
Yeah, that usually happens about 5 miles in.
Yep. So I think that's a fitting 100th episode.
We didn't plan it that way, but we realized a few weeks back that it was going to line up. And wow,
it's going to come
how about
out.
that?
Yeah.
So
we don't do a lot of planning on this podcast.
That would shock a lot of people.
I know. Yeah.
Right now there are cars swerving over the highway.
Right. They're like, what? They don't plan anything?
Well, I think it's a lot more natural. You just talk to what's on top of your mind, right?
Yeah.
And this week it happens to be the biggest race of the year for a lot of folks. It's the Super Bowl, if you will, for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's one of those races which, when you think about it, you're like, oh, it's just a gravel ride in Kansas. How bad can it be? But the thing is like this has consumed basically my life.
Well, it's such an important event for a lot of reasons. I mean, from a national level, I mean, you get everybody comes to Emporia, Kansas to cover the race, talk about all the new gear that's coming out. I mean, you'll see bikes get unveiled. I'm sure during
bikes,
this time.
You got
bikes,
the new wheels coming out.
I mean, everything's good. So I mean, it's a huge like hype machine on its own just because of that. And we haven't even talked about the actual event itself yet, right? So I think just that, and then the fact that the event itself, and anytime you ride the Flint Hills, it's never a certainty. And this event still, despite the fact that, you can argue, is it as hard as it used to be? Is it still the same? It doesn't matter. It still puts the fear in a lot of riders when you come out to ride the Flint Hills on this particular event. Yeah,
and for good reason too. It didn't get the popularity for it just being as long as it is.
That's right.
There's plenty of long rides out there, but the fact of, you start up at the start line and you have everybody has the same goal, finish the race.
Yeah.
And then that goal sometimes does not happen. There's a myriad of things that can happen. And that's what makes it one of the best races, I think, on the calendar, because you don't know the outcome. You don't know, you can look at it on paper and you be like, oh, that doesn't look so bad. Or you can, be like, oh, so-and-so's, Keegan Swinson is the strongest rider out there. He's for sure going to win. Doesn't always happen. So a lot of things happen.
Day will be full of surprises.
Yes. And even if your race goes entirely to plan, it could just be that you didn't have it on the day, or everybody else stepped up on that day.
I was going to say,
I've seen many riders execute their plan perfectly and not get the result they wanted.
And we've seen it both ways. I mean, we've seen it where it goes that way, where you execute, and the result, to your point, just doesn't pan out. We've seen it the other way too, where you execute, and the result is far better than you could have hoped for.
Yep.
And I think that's what's so great about this type of event. It's a combination of the challenge itself, but the distance, the fact that anything can happen over that period of time. For the best riders, it's at minimum, it's going to be a 10-hour day, right? Yep. I mean, so, and for the riders that are trying to, make the Breakfast Club and catch that 3 a.m. slot. Yep. It's still a long, long day, and it's full. It's going to be full of ups and downs and inside out and everything else. You're going to learn a lot about yourself on that day.
Yeah, it's not an easy, straightforward thing.
No.
I liken it to Ironman, but the fact that you're imagine doing an Ironman every year, and it's just like that's your main focus. And even if with Ironman it's a little bit more straightforward because the roads are a little bit more curated.
Sure.
There's
for some
not,
events.
There's not, unless you're going to Madison, Wisconsin calling you out. Yeah. But yeah, it's, it's that next level of, hard, gritty racing, which you don't know the outcome again.
So we're going to get into it, but, one of the things when they released the route a few weeks ago, you start scouring over the map looking for where are the hardest roads going to be and where is the likelihood of mud and where are the chunky technical sections that really define this race. Because, over 200 miles, it can't all be MMR roads, thank goodness.
Right, which they
they could.
They totally could do it. Like
they could. Thankfully, they don't. But everybody's trying to find like where on the map, where on the route is this race going to be told, and where, and where's the experience really going to happen at? And we went on a little adventure to try to find, the status of some roads that we know from years past. And then we found a couple of new ones too, that we hadn't ridden before, and we had a chance to ride this last weekend.
Yep.
We're starting to see a lot of videos come out on social media, people pre-riding different sections.
Yeah. Shout out to, the, Ministry
of Gravel.
Yeah, Mr. Gravel.
Ministry of Gravel.
Yeah, Ministry of Gravel. He's putting out he's doing a lot of great work of previewing all the courses because he lives down there in Emporia. I've had the chance, I don't know if he'll remember, but like I saw 2 years ago at La Grind, I rode up next to him and we were coming up one of the long climbs back up to Texaco Hill, and he was just having a horrible day in the office, which we've all had before.
All had that on Texaco.
Yeah. Again, and that's the way gravel is some days you're flying and some days it is putting the screws to you. So he was not having a great day, but talked to him for a little while and then moved on. So but yeah, shout out to his channel, follow him. He's doing a lot of good work, just previewing the routes, letting everybody know where the sections are, and he's doing good.
Absolutely. So I think the important part here is that there will be some sections that are going to test your mental and your physical abilities. There's no question about it. And I think at the same time we found that there has to be a balance. There's not to get in the debate right now. There'll be a time we can debate all of this, but there's been some question over the last few years. Has Unbound kind of lost its the core of it, if you will, like that.
Right.
That so difficult, like it just has such a high failure rate. But let's face it, this is still a mass participation event, and it's still the desire is to have people want to come back. You don't want to make this to where it's just the cult following, and then the only people that show up are the same 10 people every year. Nothing wrong with those types of events, by the way, but that's not what Lifetime bought the rights for, clearly. But what I love about this is the race itself, the courses that we've seen over the last several years continue to include those really difficult, challenging sections, and not just front loaded them at the part of the race where everybody's fresh. They put them deep into the race, and I love that. I love the fact that they're still willing to challenge it and not just water this down to some commercialized event, because they easily could take that out. And they haven't done that.
Even though there could be 200 miles of MMR road, there could be 200 miles of just
Champagne
hero
gravel.
gravel. Yeah, just basically, nice, fresh dirt roads, buffed out. Basically, you're like riding on rough pavement.
Yeah.
Like Wisconsin.
So you're saying you could bring your TT bike?
I could. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. So, like a lot of folks, we scoured over the route early on, just trying to figure out where some of the roads. And the first place I looked when the route came out was where we had all the fun in 2023 when it was yet another mud year, right?
Yep.
I think it seems like every 4 or 5 years you have a mud year, right?
Yeah.
2015, I think, was the last one before that. 2023 was a mud year where most people walked at least 5 miles in that out of the 200-mile course.
Yeah, this year it looks like we walked. So that beginning mud section, and everybody knows it. It's only 3 miles long.
It's 3 miles. 3 miles of mud areas where you will probably run into mud if it's been raining. And it starts, if I remember right, that road is road D going in, so it's about 11 miles in. And I remember this because I distinctly remember looking at my GPS in 2023 and seeing 11 miles and thinking, man, I feel great. This is good, off to a good start.
Yeah, this course, it'll be a little bit later.
It will be.
So they gave us a little roundabout way of getting there. So it'll be about mile 15 on the 200 course.
Yeah, and so it's road D is where it starts. but then that turns in, I believe, to like Road 120,
Yep.
which takes you over to Road C.
Yep.
And so we had a chance to go drive that over the weekend, and we got a little bit of footage from that.
Yep.
And the wild thing is like it's hard to remember exactly where the mud started until we got there, and there's like, oh, there's where it started.
Yeah, and then we didn't really want to continue to drive on it, but we couldn't turn around, so we didn't want to tear it up. But unfortunately, we had to press on and go forward because
we weren't the only ones out there.
Yeah, it's not like you can make a K turn on a MMR.
Right. Well, and the thing is the truck's got 4-wheel drive tires, all the good stuff. But it was fishtailing through some sections, and to your point, like we tried really hard not to rut it up because, but at the same time, like you are pushing some water out when you do that. But fortunately, it did not rut it up too bad. But what we did see when we stopped was how caked up with mud the tires were on the truck. I mean, so imagine that being a bicycle tire, and you talk about the frame clearances that people have these days running wider tires, and so you end up getting so much mud caked up on these tires and just your shoes even. Like you saw it was like it was 2023 all over again, but thankfully we had a truck to crawl into.
Yeah. So we did spend 10 minutes just cleaning our shoes off so we could get back in the truck and not mess up anything. And after we walked around and
that's right.
Like looked at some stuff.
And the route will take a left onto Road C and take you down, and that's where you actually run into more mud, and we're going to see some footage that shows that there's even more muddy sections on Road C, and it continues on. And there are plenty of opportunity to walk there. Now, this was last weekend, so 1 week prior to race day.
Yep, and it rained basically the morning of,
which we didn't know, by the way.
Yeah, and it rained pretty hard.
Yeah,
and then this week it's looking like it's been pretty light on the rain. Everything is the percentages have started to back up now. Yeah. So instead of 70% chance, now it's down to 50. And so it's supposed to be hot today. So chances are we might get a little bit of rain, but everything's forecast, not inches of rain. We're talking just like less than an inch, which will, depending on which day it is. And, if it rains that Friday night, like less than an inch, it'll probably be muddy in sections, but it won't be like a full walk
3 mile
fest.
walk.
Yeah. So
I would expect, again, we're all speculating, right? But my thought is that, to your point, if we can avoid that, major downpour, you're probably still gonna have to walk certain sections. When we were there, we could see there were clear areas of where water collected in a low-lying area. There's definitely going to be sections. Best case, you only have to walk like a few hundred yards at a time.
Yep.
Worst case, you're going to have to walk 3 miles.
Yep.
So I mean, you got that to look forward to. I just don't see many scenarios where all that mud dries up over the next few days here.
No. I mean, even if it was 90 degrees and sunny the whole time, I don't think there's a lot of water.
Right. And it's not to say you can't find a way around it or a path through it. I'm sure with 5,000 riders, some number of people will find a way through there without having to walk. But what I would say is I'm not going to plan my entire race around the thought of having to walk 5 miles. And if I have to, it's fine. But I don't think it's going to turn into that unless we do get all that rain.
Yeah.
So
and that's how I felt too. It's basically unless we get a deluge Friday night, then I'm going to run the tires that I feel the most confidence in, and basically they are wider tires. They're basically they're right at the clearance limit of my bike.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could probably put a couple sheets of paper in there, right? So that's it's pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah.
And if you want it, you can go back and look at our content over the weekend, and we did a little tire comparison. With some new tires, and I think it's a good choice. I think our approach was really going to be, hey, if there's going to be multiple sections of a lot of mud, then it makes sense to run skinnier tires and just deal with the lack of comfort, maybe a little bit more puncture risk, but the fact is you may be able to ride a lot more sections. Well, now it looks like it's going to be kind of dry-ish.
Yep.
So if that's the case, even if it rains a little bit, I think a 50 mil tire is just what I'm running. I think it'll be fine. I mean, it's the same kind of situation. It's a wide tire, really thins out the amount of available clearance on the frame, but that's why you carry the tools to clean it up real quick and then get back on your bike.
Yep.
So
yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things. It's Unbound is
Freudian slip.
Yep, is a race of compromises.
Yeah.
Just like a single speed person always says, they always have the wrong gear.
At some point
in the race, you're going to have the wrong gear.
Yeah.
Just like at some point in the race, you're going to have the wrong tires. So I would rather have it be the wrong tires for the walking section, because it doesn't matter what tires I'm running if I'm walking.
You're walking, that's right.
Yeah. So if I'm running 45s and they still build up, I still have to walk it no matter what.
Right.
So
and so I just don't know, at least in that section, if that section is indicative of any of the rest. I mean, we'll talk about some more of the course that we pre-rode, but if that's like the most likely to be muddy, and that's the extent of it, is maybe I have to walk a few hundred yards, making a 200-mile race, making a decision around what tires to run for another 204 miles out of 206. Yeah, I'm going to pick what's best for the 204 for sure.
So. Yeah, I'm picking what's best for the majority of the race, and then just assume that if it is muddy, I'm just going to end up walking that section anyways, which is not a big deal. And that's a compromise, right? And that's what we're talking about, the gear choices and stuff that we're going through, and that's what you should think about too. Is look at the parts that you want to excel at during this race, and not the parts that are the most fearful. Like the good thing that I've noticed about this race director is that he seems to do nice, good gravel MMR section, and then nice, good gravel. Then you get an aid station. Then you get nice, good gravel MMR.
Yeah.
Nice, good gravel aid station.
It just worked out that way, but it does seem like there's intent to not pound you with MMR after MMR.
Yes.
Which cannot be said for every year.
Right. Yeah. Like the North Course, and I'm thinking about the North Course, that section you got, you have Volland, you have Little Egypt, you have, a lot of those sections that are MMRs that just are back to back to back, but in that middle upper section. But you also have, you have a MMR section in the beginning, about 20 miles out on the North Course, and then it's like MMR, then chunky gravel, MMR, chunky gravel, MMR, right. Chunky gravel. So that middle section really kind of beats you up, but it's kind of nice. Just I kind of like to sometimes get in the head of race directors, just kind of see what they're about, and it seems like for whatever reason this person's not as heartless as previous ones, for better or for worse. Again, I'm not sitting here reviewing his route.
Sure. I haven't ridden
it yet. I haven't ridden it in its entirety and seen it. Once that happens, then I'll feel free to review it. Yeah. But for right now, I just leave it up to the race director, and just go up by whatever he had envisioned, and we're just gonna go with it.
Yeah, I take a very simple approach to this. Like I don't put as much thought into it there.
Yeah.
To me, it's like
I liked it because we ride a lot of courses that Bobby Thompson makes, and I've gotten to know Bobby quite well, and
based on how
he
maps a ride,
how he maps a ride, and he likes to throw a little bit of little salt on the wound.
Yeah. Well, and I think again, I look at it as the course is the course, and it's like, if it's going to be a constant a constant MMR fest, then that's what it is.
Yep.
And I think part of it is people get so wrapped up in, I want my time to be X. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and we're guilty of this too. We've both done it, but I think it's really important with a race like this. If your goal is time based, you're going to be struggling for the day.
Yep.
Because you're constantly comparing, subconsciously even, you're constantly going, I'm not going fast enough. I'm getting frustrated. I'm not going fast enough. Because if you start running those muddy or MMR roads.
And then you start taking more risks.
Yes.
And then those risks can lead to either you blowing up nutrition-wise or you blow up a tire.
That's right. And that's where, I think that's where a lot of people get in trouble. I think if you take the approach of, hey, I'm going to hold this power target. I'm going to hold this type of intensity. I'm going to race this section in this way. Oh, I know about these MMR roads. There might be 10 more, but I know about these, and I'm going to try to figure out how to take the right kind of lines through those, right?
Yep.
Like, to me, that's a more reasonable approach to just say, hey, the time is the time. I mean, if you're competing for a podium spot, nobody knows when the podium is going to finich. Nobody
Right.
knows what the times could be all 14-hour times this year. It might be 9 hours. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, you don't know because again, the weather can play a huge factor on this.
And just the course conditions. I mean, just the roads themselves. Even on some of the roads that we did the preview ride on this last weekend, while they were generally in pretty good order, it's very possible just flat out in a couple of those spots. I mean, they don't even have to be sketchy roads because, as we know, the Flint Hills are not forgiving.
Nope.
And you could just have bad luck.
Yep.
So,
and that happens. So yeah, the best thing I can say for anybody doing, if this is your first time doing the 200, the 25 miler, the 100 miler, any of that stuff, just, I'm not saying to tamper your expectations, but to just think about attacking the conditions and the day and the course more so than any time goal or anything like that. Because again, the pros don't even know when they're going to finish. They're just racing each other basically.
That's right.
And whoever's in front is the winner.
That's right.
That's how it is. They don't really care about the time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Let's see what else. And then, I want to make sure you guys, the other part too is, make sure you have some spares. If you're doing electronic shifting, like I'm, a convert to electronic shifting this year, I have an extra battery.
Yeah.
Even though my Shimano XTR shifter should last thousands of hours, or not 1,000 hours. It's 800 hours or something like that. Stuff happens, right? Maybe it just somehow dies the night before or just gets halfway drained.
Yeah.
Again, you just don't know. So you just carry a backup battery. If you're doing mechanical shifting, I always carried a extra gear cable because I have been on
single speed.
Yeah, I have been on a ride where I did not carry an extra cable and I had to ride single speed the last 15 miles back to the car. So it didn't happen at Unbound, but it happened on just a regular gravel ride. So make sure you have that. If you're using the support crew or your support crews, make sure you got extra tires just in case something happens and you can fix the tire enough to get you to the next aid station, and then you can swap the tire out and to do something better. Because just stuff like that, just it happens. Again, it's the Flint Hills. It's not like anything else that we can ride up here and Missouri or Excelsior Springs or anything like that, and I can pretty much almost guarantee I can count on the out of the 1,000 miles I've ridden up here, I can count on one hand how many times I've gotten flats.
Yeah, just doesn't happen.
Right, which is not the case in the Flint Hills.
Right.
The Flint Hills are just a different beast.
It already happened to you. You shredded a brand new tire.
Yeah, brand new, fresh out of the box tire.
Yeah.
So
definitely good advice there. And I think, the obvious one, of course, then is just, double and triple check your bike for any last minute mechanical.
Make sure everything is tight. I've had a derailleur on Unbound come undone because it vibrated so much. Again, you're riding 200 miles before you're doing anything. And what was it, 2 years ago, my rear derailleur was basically just the bolt was backing itself out because of all the vibration and just the bouncing around.
Yeah.
So it happens.
It does.
And I've had on Unbound before, I've had the through axle back out.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about then I've had on another gravel race, I've had my handlebars, they loosened up.
Pushed down.
Yeah, pushed down. So, everything needs to be, tight to spec.
Yeah.
Just double check, triple check to make sure everything's going good.
Right.
So, these things happen. You're talking about 200 miles of just constant vibration.
That's right.
There's maybe, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 miles of pavement on this whole 200-mile course.
Yeah, just going in and out of the towns. For the aid stations, you get a little bit,
Yep.
And then obviously the roll back into Emporia, you get some. But that's pretty much it. There's once you get out of any of the towns, that you're not getting pavement.
Yeah, you're dumped onto the first gravel road, the closest one.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, there are not many opportunities for pavement. Now there are some hard pack areas, but yeah, you're not getting clean pavement.
Yeah.
So Cool. Well, you want to get into the pre-ride we did? The recon?
So we rode from basically checkpoint 2, which is in Matfield Green, all the way to Council Grove.
Yeah.
And so we rode that whole section. Then one foul swoop, it looked like it was going to rain.
I know. I'm shocked we didn't get rain. I know. We were driving, so we did a point to point, as you said, and we parked one car in Council Grove and then went back. And that whole way going back, I was like, man, it's clouding up. I think we're going to get dumped on out here.
I'm checking the weather. I'm like, we're probably going to get rained on.
Right.
Even the guy at that we saw in Matfield Green, he's a local. He's like, you guys prepared for when it starts dumping on you?
Yeah, you got a plan?
Yeah,
he's like,
we got a plan.
He's like, watch those clouds. They're going to follow the turnpike. I guarantee it.
Yep. And it basically, lucky for us, it started to get sunny towards the end, but it was nice.
It was nice. So
we lucked out.
Yeah. So Matfield Green is it's a small town. I can honestly say I've probably been through Matfield Green, but I don't remember. It's been so long if I have. I don't remember riding. We've never ridden through Matfield Green because through it is only about 3 roads width and 3 roads, length. So not much to it. Small town, beautiful little area. But we're gonna roll through there for the checkpoint, and then when you roll out, you go almost immediately up a small, I'd say a low grade climb. I mean, it kind of rolls uphill. It's a very comfortable ride. It's nothing super challenging, but it was a nice ride.
Yeah.
So.
And it's pretty straightforward gravel up there. It's a lot of ranch land, so there is chances that there will be cows on the road.
And we had that.
So and we did have that, and I'll post a video of some of those later in the week. But basically, the whole idea is the cow is bigger than you, and so therefore you let it have the right of way.
Yeah.
And the ones with horns, you give it an even bigger right of way.
And if you see a calf, you give it plenty of the right of way because you don't need mama cow coming
exactly.
after you.
So you don't need them. You don't need them coming after you, thinking you're trying to do anything. So, this is there's always a post every year. About this is people's livelihoods, the cows, the pasture, the land, all that stuff. So if you see cowboys and all that stuff, look, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, but it's impeding into my beating the sun time. I'm this bunch of cows going through and then try to make my way. Like, no, this is their office. You don't want somebody coming to your office and just like trying to win a bike race through it. So just give them, if there's cowboys out there, you can always ask them which way you want them to go or what you want them to do, and they'll tell you. And you just give the cows the right of way, and they'll get out of your way. Yeah, they'll move.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you're eating a really good snack, and then
they might come over.
They might come over and be interested, but then you might have to share.
That's right. Yeah, and we had a couple of spots like you said, but I mean, for the most part, it was pretty uneventful rolling out. It's a bit of an uphill climb, like I said, rolling uphill, getting out of Matfield Green, and then you kind of go in a nice little downhill section.
Yep, downhill section.
As you kind of get closer to
Strong
City.
Yep, Strong City. You can see it off in the distance. As you basically climb up to the high ground, and then you kind of descend down into Strong City, and then you climb out of it. All very straightforward roads. Yeah. And then you go to Cottonwood Falls, and that road is super fast. Yeah. And again, you cross the Cottonwood River, which at our time didn't have any. The water was not coming up over the road. Right. But it can. It can. It totally can. So.
Yeah, and I would say up to that point, the ride itself felt it. Let me be careful how I say this. It was not characteristic of the Flint Hills, in the sense that you usually, for that long of a stretch, about a 20-ish mile stretch, you get a lot more of that real flinty rock, and to me, it felt like we were definitely more on true ranch roads, which, like, I wouldn't say crushed limestone, but it's just that flint rock had been pulverized so much. It was more of a powder and kind of compacted. So it turned, it was really nice to ride on. I'm not complaining by any means. Yeah. It was nice to ride on.
It just makes it when, if it does have a heavy downpour over there, it will be very sticky and mushy.
It could be. And it could also surface some of these sharper rocks. So it could turn in, who knows what it's going to do. I'm not going to sit here and try to speculate, but just know, like, the day we rode it, it was very comfortable, very straightforward. and just a nice ride. It's very and by the way, the landscape out there is beautiful. Beautiful.
It's just I'm so impressed with the landscape. I mean that is basically why we ride, is to get into some of these places.
That's right.
Just so beautiful, so remote. Just it's basically just you and the cows and a handful of ranchers that have ever been through that section.
Right. That's right.
So and then you get to basically an MMR road. It's called W Road.
Yeah.
I missed it the first time. I didn't even think it was a road. The GPS was telling me to turn, and I'm like, turn where?
I think you stopped and you were starting to turn around and just barely past it. And I was same thing. I was looking, I could see the tire tracks up on the side of the hill, kind of going up the hill, and I'm just like, oh boy, that's where we're gonna go. Okay.
It's just a double track. Basically, I don't even know if it's just like somebody used that to get to the highway.
As I say, well, and there are a couple of cattle pens up there with some gates. So the only thing I can guess is it's an access road. It's a public road, but it's an access road just to get to those gates.
Yep.
So it probably gets driven about twice a year.
Yep. And so it was so the line's there on that road. So if you're taking notes, the W road, that MMR, both sides are really good, except for the very end. The right side on the downhill is very chunky and very rocky. So but you have plenty of time to get over. There is deep ruts on both sides, but there is enough space for you to kind of ride the nice part.
They get a little off camber too in a few spots. And I noticed on the off camber sections, like it's just like anything else. You just ride high on that line, you're gonna be fine. You're not. It looks a lot worse than it is.
Yeah, it looked like it was gonna be like sticky, gritty mud, but it held together pretty well. Yeah. So again, and that's another thing that I would say the Flint Hills is really good at, is places that look like muddy aren't. They're okay. They're okay. Oddly. And then the places that look like you can ride them are sticky, tacky mud, peanut butter mud, and you're just like, I don't understand. Just like when we were driving, we're like, I think the roads, the MMR roads here, that's super peanut buttery, and then we're like, oh, yeah. So here it is. So.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, and I think W Road too. It had a couple of little like water. I'd say it's very, very small, like creeks or gullies that kind of come through, and then. Again, you're going up the hill a little bit in those sections, so it's not like you're bombing it going super fast. But you'll see them and just be ready for them. I mean,
and then you get to Highway 50, and that's the part where, if you read the athlete guide, which I have,
Yeah, well, that's one of us.
Yep. So I read it, so Danny doesn't have to.
That's right.
So basically, there will be a state trooper there, just to kind of like manage the traffic, but he's not stopping the traffic. So it's up. You can't just bomb across there.
Right.
Like just, you're going to come to the road. It's a highway. People are going 55 miles an hour. Yeah. And to the left is a hill. So they're coming up over the hill. So you're not going to see them. And then to the right, you can see a lot further. Right. So when you get there, just be careful because, the police is there. The officer will be there. He's not going to stop traffic. He's going to basically direct us when it's kind of safe to cross.
Yeah. And once you get across there though, it kind of smooths back out, if you will, right? The MMR section's done. And really for the rest of that route,
and then it's just this long hill grind. You can see it all the way to Council Grove. You're like, are we going up that hill? Yes, we are. We're going. You see that road way up there in the distance? Yeah. That's the one we're going to.
And that road to me was much more reminiscent of typical Flint Hills roads. It was not super chunky by any means, but just
it's chunky at the part where it starts to just like a shelf, and then it levels off, and then it grinds up, and then there's another shelf where it's chunky, and then it lines out again.
Yeah, and again it's just you're just going to be in for a long haul up a hill.
Yeah, I mean especially like 130-40 miles in, you're gonna that hill's gonna feel like a monster.
Right.
But
Yeah, and I guess it again very very straightforward. You get to the top of that section, and then you kind of work your way in a rolling downhill into Council Grove.
Yep.
And again, very straightforward. You got maybe about a mile's worth of pavement going into Council Grove, into the downtown or into the area by the school. And I would say, all in all, probably the biggest takeaway from that ride for me, other than W and just being aware of the MMR section and kind of which lines to take, the only other thing I'd say commentary-wise is how exposed it is out there.
Yes.
You know it is, but like, think about the time of day it's going to be for most riders. It's going to be that 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon time slot. Or, I should say 2 to 5, right? Yep. Somewhere in that window for most riders or many riders. And it's going to get pretty toasty through there.
Yeah, if the sun is out, basically you're going to see me melting on the side of the road. There's no shade. There's just it'll be one of those things where I'm just in full survival mode to try to get to Council Grove. It's very exposed. The wind doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a factor. It looks like it's going to be double digits out of the west or the southwest. Mm-hmm. Of course, with everything, it's changing.
Sure.
But again, it could be a straight headwind, which happens.
It was a very light headwind for us during the day we rode it.
Yep.
Not really noticeable, but it did have me thinking, because there were a couple of points the sun tried to peek out, and it felt noticeably warmer.
Yes.
And it was, it wasn't to the point of like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be, but you're going to feel it. If it's sunny, if it's a sunny day, you're going to know it.
Yeah. Even if the temperatures hold that it's projected to be 70s, it'll feel like 90 degrees out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
90 degrees to 100 degrees.
Mostly because you're going, like I say, rolling uphill through a lot of that stretch, and you're just not going to, even with some wind, just won't be, it'll be like a hairdryer.
Yep.
So, but I mean, that's really it. And then as far as, I wasn't surprised by anything like on the course. It was just so straightforward. Yeah. So it's just get it done.
Yep.
Right.
That's one of those sections that it's very long between the aid stations. Yeah. And so that's where you're going to, if it looks like it's going to be sunny, I'll be carrying a little extra water. Yeah. If it looks like it's going to be windy.
Well, let's talk about that just a little bit, because I think that's something that's on a lot of people's minds. Is that section between Matfield Green and Council Grove is it is 60 to 65 miles. I mean, depending on where you start and stop it, but it's roughly 65 miles. And for a lot of people, I mean, the concern is like, well, because of the elevation, it's such a rolling uphill for the majority of it. Yep. It's going to take some time. And I think for me personally, I'm going to budget 4 hours for that section. I mean, we rode it the other day.
And we rode it, and we weren't like, we were taking pictures and
we stopped a couple of times.
Yeah, stopped a couple of times, taking the views and stuff, and just. So it took us a little over 4 hours. Mm-hmm. So I think on race day around 4 hours, or pretty much around the same time.
Yeah, because again, we're going to have 100 and something miles in the legs already. Exactly. So that's kind of so the way we kind of approached that ride was maybe not intentionally, but it worked out that way, where we rode it about the same time we would be getting in there on next weekend if everything goes relatively according to plan. And so I think 4 hours for us is the right budget time. And you might be a little bit quicker because you're a faster rider this year. Qualify that this year. But I mean, all kidding aside, I mean, it could be anywhere from like 3.5 to 4.5 hours. Yep. So for depending on how conditions go. And
we rode it like 14 miles an hour, something like that. 14 point something.
We're not hammering any sections. We were not putting in like big threshold efforts on any of the climbing sections. So that's the stuff that could change, right? I may be feeling good. Like that would be, I'm thinking about race day. Like if I'm feeling good in that section and I know I'm getting close to Council Grove and I want to put in an effort on that last climby section to suffer sooner and get it over with. Yep. That's probably a good bet to make, because it's only going to get cooler as the day goes on. Yep. Once you get to Council Grove, you've got a little bit of climbing, Kahola Hill, yep. and then you got one more little rolling climb after that. But once you're at Americus, it's a 15-mile. You're home free.
Yep. It's flat, and you're just home
flat
free.
And fast. So.
Yep. And there's a water station at Americus.
That's right.
So, and the last half of this course too, like after you get through Council Grove, you climb out of it. There's another little section, and then you're going to go by the lake, and then you're going to climb up the hill, and then there's another MMR, and then that is it. Yeah. Then it's downhill into Americus. There's a water stop if you need it, and then you're home free. Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. So I think if you're feeling it, that last climby bit right before Council Grove is a good chance to put some, put a little bit of effort in and try to make up a little bit of time. So now I normally carry, I think we both do, but normally carry 4 liters of water for a stretch like that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the same way.
Yeah, it'll probably be almost 5 liters.
Yeah.
For me. So it'll be depending on if it's going to be hot.
Yeah.
If there's a chance that it'll be sunny, then I'll be carrying an extra half liter in my jersey.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like I got 2 on the bike and 2 in the pack,
Yep.
and I'm probably going to take at least one of those soft flasks or something like that to shove in the back pocket.
Yep.
Because to the point, if it's kind of warm, and also the other thing to keep in mind is that's, there's the water you drink, and then you might need to like spray some water on your face and stuff just to kind of cool off a little bit, or spray it over your head. So, don't be afraid to take extra water there. Yes, it's climby, but you're not penalized that much by taking a little bit extra water.
Yeah, I think the steepest section was, I want to say like 6%.
Yeah, it was not super steep.
Most of the long climbs are like around 3%. So pretty much my bread and butter of how I climb. I'm not a great climber.
Yeah, there are not. This is not the kind of course that had, or at least that section did not have 10, 12, 15, 18%, nothing like that in it. So
yeah. So and then of course going back to just after Madison, we're gonna climb up and get into we climb up that one hill. It's not Texaco Hill, but it's
Sorry, you said after Madison?
No, right before Madison. So we kind of come out of D Road and then we come up a hill. It's where the radio tower's on, so it's not Texaco Hill. It's not that. Yeah. And then you go into Madison. Then you come out of Madison, and then you go down the Judge. So luckily we don't have to ride up the Judge this year.
Yeah, thank
that
goodness.
was always fun. And then you get to climb up Texaco Hill, which is like a 3 mile at 5 or 6%.
I'm not even sure if it's 5 or 6. I think it's. I mean, because it's such a long.
I think on average it's got. I mean, it averages out on Garmin, I think, to like 2% or 3%, but there is some steep pitches in there. Yeah. And that section there, that's some good steep climbing.
Yeah.
So if you are a climber, not like me, but if you are somebody who's, fancies themselves as a climber, this is a good section for you. That Madison to basically Texaco Hill, you're going to be in your little playground. And then after you descend off of Texaco Hill, then you get on Teeter Road.
Yeah.
Teeter Rock Road, and then that's a nice good climb until you get to Teeter Rock, and then it's downhill. And
I think it's going to be really important for a lot of folks not to, because it's still early in the race. So you figure after Madison, it's in the 40 to 50 mile ish range, and you got to be careful not to go too hot into Texaco Hill. I've made that mistake in previous years where you get on the Texaco Hill climb and you're feeling pretty good because you think about it, you're 40, 50 miles into the race. Just about every course that runs there, that's about where you're at. It's about that 50. So it's real easy to.
You will pay for the matches that you burn.
Oh my gosh, you feel good. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel great. I followed one guy going up that hill one time. That guy was pushing. He had to be pushing like 500 watts, I swear.
Yeah.
And it was into a headwind, and I was trying to kind of hold the wheel because I was like, I can't lose this train.
Yeah.
And man, I cooked myself. Like I felt it about 2 hours later.
Yep. So, that's usually what happens. Yeah. So, you will not see me tearing up that climb.
So it's funny. Like I've Travis and I talked a lot about the approach to this race, and he's heard me whinging about my fitness level, and it's not, just for the record, my fitness level is not where it needs to be. Now that I got that in there.
Yeah, he just, of course, the excuses start now, and then, he's like, oh, I beat the sun. It was the best day ever.
That was last year.
I guess I was so good.
Yeah, that was last year. That's not this year. Anyway, I think the important thing for me this year, like my approach really is going to be like, I know where I typically finish. If I look at my intensity factor for every Unbound race I've ever done, it's almost always within like plus or minus 3%. 3 points of itself. And so I'm like, it doesn't matter if I've done it all different ways. I've raced it relatively, tried to start easier and raced it that way. I've done it where I've raced up and down really hard up hills, and I raced it like last year when I did beat the sun was my most consistent year.
Yep.
So this year my thought is I'm just going to hold a consistent pace as long as I can. And I found when you and I were riding on Saturday, you did not have power because your battery.
My battery died, which is another thing. Replace all the batteries.
Which I got to do today.
Yep, which I'm doing, right before.
One of the things I noticed, because you didn't have power, and when you ride by feel, I think even when you ride with a power meter, but I know when you ride by feel, you tend to surge into hills.
Yes.
And that's just the way you ride. It's riding style. It's not a good or bad thing.
It's because I know I'm going to go slow up the hill. So I try to carry that momentum. I attack into the hill and then I settle into it and then I ride it.
One of the things I noticed was, and then on the downhill side, you pick your power right back up as soon as it's efficient to do so. You pick the power right back up and you're right into it. So, but one of the things I noticed by riding consistent, trying to hold that consistent power, I would see you kind of separate on that initial hill as you normally do, and then I would kind of catch up. But then I would carry momentum over, and I would catch you on the downhill side more often than not.
Yep.
Which is not normal. Usually you beat me down the hills. And
I was waiting up for him.
You were at certain times.
Just to put it up there.
A couple of times.
I wasn't trying to race him.
No. It's true.
I did look. Anytime I'm looking back, I was looking back to make sure you were still there.
Yeah, right. Because I didn't know what Saturday was going to bring. Yeah. So, not to turn this into a therapy session for me, but my training for the last 4 to 6 weeks has been brutal on my key intensity workout days. It's not been a good deal.
Yes.
And then we'll get into there's a lot of lessons learned in this that we're going to talk about after Unbound.
Yep. Because
I think there's some things that people can learn from what I've experienced this year. And so we'll talk more about that, but it has not been a great training build block. Everything up to the build block was great, but these last 6 weeks have been not great. So I've just relegated myself to the fact I'm going to ride as consistent as I can for as long as I can. And I don't care if that's 200 watts, 180 watts, 130 watts, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Whatever that power is, I'm just going to put that power and I'm going to keep shoveling food in my face and drink a lot of water and just see what happens.
And just make it to the end.
And I think this is the kind of course that supports that type of approach.
Yes.
Because this is not a north course where you got a lot of constant up and down, sharper climbs, punchier climbs, real chunky stuff that you got to just surge. And, a lot of that chunky stuff, you got to just, generate power out of nowhere just to stay upright.
Yep.
This type of course, from what we've seen of it, both the ride on Saturday, the sections and the roads that we know about, will favor the consistent rider.
Yep.
Is what I can tell.
Yeah, just ride consistent, ride at your plan to the best of your ability, and go out there and just keep pedaling forward.
That's right.
If your bike, if everything stays together and you just keep moving forward, you're not going to have too many issues with this course.
Yeah.
There's ups and downs with any ultra endurance thing. You're going to have good sections. You're going to have miserable sections. You're going to have exuberant, I'm the best in the world and this is the best thing ever. And then you're going to be like, I suck. I should have never done this.
What's your go-to to get out of that funk?
So sometimes, I don't recommend this, but, I will have music, like headphones, the bone conducting ones, just in case I get into a really, really dark spot.
Yeah.
I've ridden Unbound a couple of times where I have never used them the entire time and just kind of listened to the wind and the trees.
I can't ride with them.
And, a lot of times the simple thing of like just chapstick is very nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so
just something.
Just put a little chapstick on, and you feel like $1 million.
Mm-hmm. Something that helps me sometimes is carrying something sour.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah,
and I don't know what it is.
Or a little treat. Have that. Have something to look forward to in the aid bag.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think that it's whatever, you got to find something that will bring you some kind of joy, because you will get that dark spot where it's just like something's not going the way you thought it would.
Yep.
And you think your goal is trash.
Maybe you're just out there all alone.
We've both ridden a majority of this race by ourselves before.
Yeah. Or maybe you're in a group and they're surging and you're not liking the whole thing and you're just not having a great time, but you know that, hey, I'm going to have to
stay in the group.
Them. So this race, you definitely need to do what you find like joy. Maybe it's a can of Coke in your at the aid station. Maybe it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a Snickers bar. You know what mine was on Saturday? An ice cold Topo Chico.
Yep. Waiting for us at the finish line.
Yep.
And for those of you who don't know, Topo Chico you can't get right now because
Danny went and bought as many.
I hoarded it. I hoarded it. I've been rationing them ever since. and you can't get it right now because they're upgrading the facility
Yep.
where they produce it and bottle it. So, but yeah, you got to have something, and that's a good trick too. I mean, I'll put a Red Bull or a Coke in my cooler box that goes to the aid stations, and I just know, like, hey, if I can just get to that aid station, I can get something, I'll feel better.
Yep.
You know? And yeah, I just think it's important to have something like that. I don't care what level you're at, you got to have something because you're going to hit a dark spot somewhere.
Yeah,
there.
even the pros, they hit dark spots out there too, and they have things to look forward to, and they try to just keep moving forward. Again, the thing is the best piece of advice I can give people, if this is your first Unbound or if this is your 10th, and they'll agree with it, is that whatever you're feeling, it's not going to last. Yeah. So if you're feeling great, it's not going to last. Yeah. If you're feeling horrible, it's not going to last. So that's right. You just keep going. So.
Well, that was a good question. That felt like a rapid fire question, but it was not.
Yeah.
Do you want some rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do some rapid fire.
Rapid fire for the 100th episode.
Yeah.
And this is Unbound 200 edition. So let's see here. So we went back to Claude AI. Yep. Claude does a good job with these. So we're gonna, we like Claude's approach. Claude
likes to throw in a little spice.
Yeah. So here we go. So you signed up for Unbound 200 9 months ago. How many of those months did you actually train like someone who signed up for Unbound 200?
9 months.
I was gonna say I feel like
I said, dude, this race, for whatever reason, it just consumes your life. Yeah. Yeah. It's basically all you think about until you do the race. Yeah. And then after you do the race, you're like, okay, how am I going to do better next year? Yeah. Or how am I going to, it's one of the few races that has that mystique, that level of commitment, even when you're at there, when I'm out on the ride, sometimes I'm like, why didn't I just sign up for the 100? Or why didn't I sign up for the 50? This is horrible. Yeah. But then when you finish it, you're like, how do I do better next year? How do I not make it suffer as much? Yeah. But the truth is I've been racing long enough that it always suffers. Yeah. And so I just know as much work as you put in, you still suffer in that race, and you just go faster. Yeah, that's right. Well, speaking of suffering, it says it's race week, and the Flint Hills gets 4 inches of rain, and the forecast is bad. Do you have an actual mud strategy, or is your plan just to suffer and hope everyone else suffers more? I'm the second one. Yeah, for sure. Just the suffering, and basically, if it's rainy and horrible, I'm not really too bad. I'm not too put out about the rain. If it's sunny and hot, if it's 100 degrees, then I'm really starting to worry. Yeah, yeah. I think. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just the course is what it is, and so I'll go back to my days of coaching competitive baseball, and it was like, when you get cold days for baseball, or you get really rainy days, like where you're just hot days, super hot days. You always tell it's like, hey, conditions are the same for both teams. Yep. So you got to decide, are you going to be the better team, or are you going to be the one that gives up? Yep. So you're going to be the one that gives up. I'm not going to be the one that gives up. I didn't sign up for this thing to give up. Right. So now, if I had to quit that because of DNF or something, that's a different story. But I'm not going to be the one that gives up. So. Yeah. If it's a medical issue, sure, that's totally a whole different story. Yeah, it's a whole different story. But that falls into the are you hurt or are you injured? Yep. So got all kinds of these things. I'm all fired up now. Already now. So gravel cyclists love calling themselves not competitive right up until someone passes them. So which is it? Are you out there for the experience, or are you absolutely furious someone in a heavier bike just dropped you? I'm out there for the experience. Yeah. I've been in so many of these events where, I've been passed so many times on so many hills only to see that rider later in the race. Well, and that's just it. Like, this is the thing. You got to let people just go. This is such a long event. How many times have we seen people just go up the road on us? Like, now, if it's 50? The last climb by the university, that's, different story. You're going to chase them down, and you're going to do everything you can. But when it's like you're 50 miles into the race and people in the group start hammering a hill, and you're just like, go for it, guys. Have fun. I hope you've got the fitness more on you. You're going to beat me anyway, right? I'll see you at the finish. Yeah. Yeah. It's just funny. It's such a long race. That's why, and there's so many people, like, you just ride your race. You're going to group up with somebody. And if you don't, it's still a beautiful ride. Let's see here. Real talk. If it rains and your race goes sideways, how much of your DNF story is actually about the mud, and how much is about the fact that you undertrained and the mud just gave you a better material to work with? think that seems to be, if you're looking on the Instagram or the Facebook page, like it just seems that everybody's so worked up about the mud.
My gosh, I love
that
it.
I just feel like it's just kind of one of those things. Every time I see a post about it, I just kind of feel like, oh, is this a post where you're fearing about your fitness instead of the conditions? Because the conditions are the same for all of us.
That's right.
And it's just like, you have to just accept it.
Yeah. I think, I think it just gives people something as an excuse for sure.
Yep.
Now, it's different if you're riding in the mud and, we've seen this happen. You're riding and you maybe didn't realize it was building up and it just rips a derailleur up. Like, totally different story, right? But if you're just going to be like, oh, I'm sick of this mud and I'm just going to walk myself to a dirt patch and call a Jeep to come pick me up, well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you want to spend your time on. I mean, go for it. Let's see here. Gravel community talks endlessly about suffering and grit. But most of these athletes have a support crew, a hotel room at the finish, and a flight home on Sunday. So at what point are we just the LARPing hardship?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we talk about how gritty and tough it is, and then we go back to our nice cozy beds.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you got the Flint Hills Ultra riders out there, like our good buddy Preston.
I'm still out there.
Out there just hammering away on a 1,000-mile route that's going to take however long. He might finish, sometime next week.
Yep.
So, man, I don't know. Let's see here. Here we go. Last one. When it's mile 160, it's midnight. You're covered in mud and your legs are done. Your brain is negotiating and there's nobody watching. Who are you actually racing for? And is that reason enough to keep going?
Yeah, because that means it was hard. And so you just gotta, it's like one of our, past, one of our favorite YouTubers, he'd always say like, would your future self be proud about what you're accomplishing?
Yeah.
And so if you can tell yourself that and just keep going,
then
for sure. Your future self is going to be happy you finished it.
One of the things I like about the event like Unbound, and I think I noticed it even more so when we did Ironman in Chattanooga, but these types of events draw so many people from so many different backgrounds and different walks of life and different experiences. And there's always the people that have a very unique and very special story for why they're doing this. And, it could be any number of reasons. It could be for a family member. It could be for a, certain situation. It could be bringing awareness to a cause that's really important to them.
Yep.
And I think that stuff's really awesome. And I think that's what I like most about these types of events, because you don't get as much of that at local gravel races. Like, you don't see a lot of those people bringing awareness to their cause or the situation when there's 50 people towing a line.
Yep.
When there's 5,000 people towing a line, just by statistically, you have more odds of those types of folks showing up, and there's obviously more people, so draw more attention. But I love it when people bring like very unique circumstances. Yep. I love seeing that, and it's like it does give you a little bit of motivation. If you're having a really rough day and you see somebody pass you and they got a kit on that has like bring awareness to whatever cause, and or you see somebody, I've noticed this more and more and more. You see a lot of riders like Meg Fisher, for example, doing the Paralympic stuff and all of that. And you see riders, so many more riders now that have had some sort of an injury or something like that. And now they're back and they're riding, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so freaking awesome. It's a lot of inspiration that can turn a bad day around real quick. Yep. So yeah, love it. Cool. Yep. Anything else you want to cover?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Big week this week. Yep. We're gonna be down there all week. Starting Wednesday, we're gonna head down and let's see. We're gonna try to get this video out, I know, as soon as we can, and get down there on Wednesday and do some more recon of different sections of the course.
Yep.
And get some volunteer work in, of course.
Yeah. I just thought of something. The one thing I will say, if you are new, most of us kind of know, like, go easy on the group rides. Pick out a couple ones that you want to attend.
Yeah.
Because they have one like almost every hour, starting Wednesday through. So you can basically wear yourself out before you even start the race.
Yes.
So, definitely If you're somebody who, like me, who goes by a plan, I tend to just go and execute my training ride. And then if I have time, I'll fit in like a small group ride if they're going a couple miles or whatever. But the thing for me leading up to race week is not about blowing all my training on a group ride that turned into a pre-race race.
Yeah.
You know?
We've done a few group rides over the years, and fortunately those have all been super, super relaxed.
And I think the ride leaders are pretty good about that. But you can
still wear yourself down.
Yeah, you can wear yourself down just doing it. You're walking the expo, you're going seeing all the sites, you're seeing the pros, you're going down to Merchant Street, you're eating at all these great places down in Emporia, and the next thing you know, you're like really tired.
Yeah.
Come race day.
Yeah. I mean, we've had years where we've been down there for volunteering the expo, and like I get down, I look at how many steps I had in the day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't had that many. Like I could take like the last 3 weeks and add them together and not have that many steps.
Yep.
And it's like, you don't realize how much that just wears on your knees and on your feet, and then you got to get on a bike and so.
Yep. So that would be my last little tip about stuff is just kind of take it easy, kind of plan out what you, kind of one of the group rides that you want to hit, and then, spend your time at the expo wisely, and then
tell you what, one thing's for sure, it's gonna be a lot of fun down there this week. It's always so much fun. So I'm really looking forward to getting down there, getting to the expo, and seeing if there's any new gear out there. I'm a little scared of how much money I might spend. I really don't have much budget left because we both kind of splurged a little bit for some equipment lately. So
I've spent way too much money on equipment and tires.
If there's any tire dealers down there, Travis is your guy. He's been buying a lot of tires lately.
I've been buying a lot of tires. So
cool.
But yeah, alrighty guys, thank you again for all the support. 100 episodes in, so we're hopefully here's to the next 100.
That's right.
And we'll see you guys later.